Hello, everyone. We are live from the East Coast. No, we're not even on the East Coast. We're all around the
We're
United States,
we're global. We're global. But we do
worldwide.
have a live internet audience.
A live internet audience. Thank you all for joining. Um,
Welcome.
Welcome to the fourth Cantata modding stream slash game mechanic deep dive slash we're making a mod slash just hanging out. We're talking about the game. I'm Kyle Cookstow. I'm a programmer and designer on Cantata, and I'm joined by,
I'm Rogue Fong, and I am a developer on Cantata.
yes, and we are for today going to show you all about unit mechanics in Cantata. But first, just want to plug, if you're not aware, we have a forum for Cantata. So for this, we've been doing these videos now. Actually, this is crazy. So this is the fourth stream. We do them every 2 weeks. So we've been doing this for 8 weeks now, which seems insane. It seems so new.
Bonkers. It's
Yeah.
wild.
But we have a forum here. You can talk about the game. You can talk about the past videos. You can ask us questions. People are starting to sort of trickle in here. So don't be shy if you want to come talk on the forums or ask us questions about anything that comes up in the streams or just anything else in general. We're always sort of happy to answer questions there. And if you miss a video on our YouTube channel, we've been not only live streaming these videos, but we also upload the archives here. So if you want to come and check out what we did in previous video streams, check them out here. Any new videos that we do, because we stream simultaneously to both Steam, YouTube, and Twitch, the videos just get auto archived on YouTube, and then I'll even go in and timestamp them so you can like skip all the stuff where the stream starts or we're not actually talking yet. You can just jump to the time code. So if you've missed previous streams, you can come here. And just quickly, the things we've done in the past. So we're basically, as part of the stream series, we're sort of building a mod from scratch. We started with doing a video on the terrain and map mechanics of Cantata. So we imported new custom terrains. We added features to those terrains, and we put them on the map using the game's scenario editor. Last stream, we talked about sort of the same process, but for units, or as we call them, interactables, where the whole stream was about sort of slicing and dicing sprite sheets to bring them into the game. And then now, this stream is actually talking about unit mechanics specifically. So it's all the stuff that gives like form to units, buildings, interactables, and Cantata parlance, all the stuff that we're using to like build units for Cantata, but also that anyone who's modding the game will have access to. So if you want to check out the past, they're all here. You can upload them, or I mean, you can watch them on the channel, and just it's almost. I mean, they're all an hour and a half now. So if you've got 5 hours to just hang around and watch me and Rogue talk about Cantata, then there's your day right there.
There you have it. Or you could just, skip to the timestamp, and it's not going to be.
Or
It's
just
going to be
skip the
less than that.
timestamp. Yeah, there's good stuff in
But
there. There's little like
there's good content.
if you're like a real Cantata head, there's like little sprite previews of stuff in the game. So if you like pause and go look at sprites, you can like see more than we've revealed. So you can look a little dig. It's our ARG. But yeah, so for this stream, we're going to focus talking about a unit mechanic. So I don't know, Rogue, how do you want to start this?
Yeah, I think what we should do is we should just dive into the game and actually take a look at a unit on the map, and then we can go into Depot and start seeing how we can configure that ourselves.
Cool.
So let's go into our map, which I forgot what it's
The
called.
medieval map.
The medieval map.
Do you want to
Very
load
simple.
up the map itself, to like play on it, or do you want to load up the modding version?
I kind of want to load up the map itself.
Okay. So this was the map, just to everyone's clear. This is the map that we built sort of as part of the first, I guess, 3 streams. We built sort of this map. And for those who are just tuning in, we've built these little white knight sort of medieval characters. This is not standard Cantata pixel art. This is the actual Cantata pixel art. But these were units that we just found online, and we're just pulling them into the game to show that you don't have to like have art that looks just like our art. You can have stuff that looks sort of totally different, and that is totally valid in Cantata. So if you want to do really low res pixel art, like the Cantata will do that. That's totally fine. So, but here we are in our medieval map.
Yeah, so let's click on one of these white knights. and we've seen this before throughout playing the game, is like you can move, you can attack, um, but really what I want to look at is these info panel, this info panel. So let's move your mouse over there. So yeah, so we've got a bunch of information about the interactable that is surfaced here. There's no, you can see the little X, can't really see the white knight right now,
Coming
but
soon.
coming soon, portraits
I'm
coming
actually going to
soon.
see if I can zoom this in a little bit for the video. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good
It's
idea.
not as clear, but it'll be a little bit easier to read, hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of these numbers and icons that you're seeing are things that are all configurable through Depot. So oh,
I'm sorry, there we go.
nice. So we can go into, maybe you can hover over. We've got the basic things, like we've got health, we've got um, our weight system, which ties into a lot of things. We've got the vision, which we talked about on the map stream, which essentially is how far you can see on the map. Um, we've got attack and movement. We can talk about that when we go to Depot. And then you can see there's a storage panel. So we're only seeing one of these right now.
Oh, it doesn't actually have storage.
Oh,
Oops.
it doesn't have storage. Oops. Oops.
I
All
was
right.
like, doesn't have storage, nothing. We're good there.
This is perfect. This is basically a vanilla unit. We just pretend that storage panel isn't there. It only has an info that you can look at. So um,
But yeah,
I
so
think,
health, attacking, vision, weight, movement, or whatever. And these things are like not things, right, that are, they're not like baked into the game. These are all set elsewhere. So I think we're going to walk through what that stuff looks like. I'm trying to think of any other
yeah,
just like basic unit stuff that we could talk about. Or is that sort of all?
I think we can go
Just for
through the depot
basics.
and then always jump back and forth.
Sure.
Also, Paul, hi. Having a good
Paul's
time this
back.
morning.
Hey, Paul. Thanks for shouting us out
Back.
too on Twitter. That was really helpful. It was exciting
Yeah.
to see love from the Tactics fans. All right. So we're going to pull up. So Rogue has been saying Depot, which for those of you who don't know is it's the tool that we built to basically do data editing for our game, but is also a tool that everyone will have access to who uses or plays Cantata, and they can add your own data to the game. It won't be exactly like what you see now, but it will be very, very, very similar. Oops, that loaded up right into the middle of our faces. So I'm going to pull this up.
Yeah. And Tan Squared, welcome. Exciting to see you.
Oh, first time catching it live. Well, welcome. Feel free to contribute, ask some
Yeah.
questions. If you're watching it live, you can ask us all of the dirty Cantata secrets you wish you could say from the normal videos. All right, so here's our CMod. So I'll give a quick overview, and then Rogue, we can dive into interactable stuff. So just again to describe what we're seeing here, this is basically a data file for Cantata. So if you're making a mod for Cantata, you have access to this thing. This one is really big and sort of filled out because this is literally our core data for Cantata. But if you were to make your own mod or something, and I'll actually bring up the medieval mod here so we can see it, they could be sort of much simpler. So this one's just got a few terrains, well, sounds whatever. But so it's got terrains, so a manifest that just says its name and the creator of the mod, and then some list of interactables. And these, you can have as many of these sort of in your game as you want. So you can just have all these little data files that just, one gives you some terrains and one gives you some interactables and one gives you some effects. And so you can kind of combine them to build something. But I think we're going to focus mostly on interactables.
Yeah. And again, if this is your first time here, Cantata itself, the game is built through this modding system.
Yeah.
It's our mod of the system that we're building. So, all right, are we talking about interactables now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so you can see right here, these are the two interactables that we added on our last stream. We've got the Necromancer horse, and we've got the White Knight. We added a sprite sheet, which Kyle sliced up using Ace Sprite.
Mm-hmm.
And we have these, 5 different categories. So we have interactable info, which has basically all of that basic information kind of that we saw in the info panel. So weight, vision, stuff like that. Display effects, I think we won't ever really talk about. Maybe
Probably
later.
not this stream, but yeah.
Yeah, not for a while. But I think that's just all of the. I don't know what's in there actually. It's a
Just when something
death.
dies.
When-
Right now, everything explodes when it dies.
yes. Sound effects, that's a little bit self-explanatory. And aspects, we will probably get into this a bit. And then projects we will save for later.
Probably
So
next stream, hopefully. I think there'll be enough stuff in this stream that will probably split it up into at least one other stream, maybe two other streams, depending on how far we get here, because there's a lot to go into with this stuff. So
okay, so let's jump into interactable info.
I'm going to do it on the White Knight too, because that's the character that we've sort of most easily able to access.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so let's just go down the line. We start with faction, which there's a little drop down here, and we can choose a faction that it's a part of. Right now, we just have our robot alien and the other one,
Machine or human, yeah.
human, right? And those factions can be configured just in the little. If you want to jump over to the factions, I think it's easy enough to see. You can just add a faction if we want to.
And these are also, one thing that sort of changed recently about these is that the faction is more of a semantic thing versus it having any sort of specific, like, what's the word? Like, instead of having any sort of specific gameplay stuff, it's just like a way to define like literally a name of a faction. So you can have, as a player, you can have multiple units from different factions. This is just sort of a nice way to group stuff together.
Yeah. Health, kind of self-explanatory. Weight. Should we say anything more about weight? Besides, it's how heavy something is. It kind of plays into a lot of different mechanics of the game. It plays into the what an interactable can move or how fast it can move across the map, because tiles will have weight limits. Is there anything else we should say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could open up the map real fast and just talk about it because we got it open.
Yeah.
So like a tile itself has a capacity. So this floor tile, for example, you can see the little weight icon on it, hopefully in the stream. It has a capacity of 10. And what that basically means is that something is only able to move onto or through that tile if the interactable's weight is less than or equal to that number. So this White Knight character has got a weight of 5, so it can just move across. It can just move across those tiles, basically no problems. There's other issues where basically when something is on a tile, the weight of the interactable that's on that tile lowers the total capacity of that tile. So if I actually mouse over the White Knight character again, you look at the very bottom of the tooltip, it says that the floor terrain has a capacity of 5 out of 10. So now, because my 5 weight character is on a tile that has a capacity of 10, that capacity is lowered to 5, and now only things with a weight of 5 or less can move through that tile. So this is just like, you can just set it in the data here like you can do anything else. So that's where it sort of comes in. I want to say one thing about this, what we're seeing here too, real quick, Rogue, is that for people who don't understand what they're seeing, basically this is sort of like a spreadsheet where there's line entries here, and then each of these little eyeball symbols here is basically an entry that's part of that line. So we were just looking at the interactable info for the White Knight character, and actually I can click so nested sheet paths, and I can see here that that's not actually really helpful, but it's just saying that this interactable at index 1 is I'm looking at this one, versus if I was to open up this interactable info, I'm now editing data for this one. So when you've got like in our big our big data file here, and you've got multiple of these categories, it's possible that you're like opening up multiple versions of them and sort of editing different stuff. So we're just editing those fields on a specific one. We're not like editing it for every interactable. It's just that specific one. So I just wanted to give just a quickly talk about that, because I know if you haven't seen this before, it can be sort of confusing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah.
Just imagine it as one big, beautiful spreadsheet.
Yeah, it's like a spreadsheet editor for nested data. This is the best way to sort of think about it.
Yes.
So I'm opening up the interactable info here for the White Knight, and then Rogue was just
Hmm.
talking about these fields that are shared between interactables, but each interactable itself has its own data. So if you actually know, I bet Paul probably is familiar with JSON data. Like this is basically just editing JSON data, but as a spreadsheet. So,
Yeah.
all right. Sorry, just wanted to get that out of the way.
Yeah. No, that's great. Um, all right. So we have our weight, and we talked a bit about the weight system, um, and we have vision range and vision modifier. So this also plays into the map mechanics where unit's vision range is how many tiles you can quote unquote see into. So this white knight has a vision range of 5. So if we uh, count the number of tiles that we can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minus 1,
Yeah,
6
it's
minus
because
1.
it really is just because that they can always see what's next to them, so the vision range is counted out past their like
Mm,
immediate adjacent vision. But yeah,
okay. Um, yes, so that distance is 5, and in a little bit of a different way than the weight, uh, certain tiles also have a vision cost. So if you hover over the white knight again, we can see that the vision into this little forest before you hit the river, you can't see that far into because it looks like the tree's vision cost is 3, which is in that little tooltip to the all the way to the right. There's a little eyeball,
hmm
a little yellow eye. And then
and so in the
is
way the
there,
vision is, oh, go ahead.
yeah, is there another way to phrase all of this? Like,
It's just,
can you
yeah,
add more more flavor?
yeah. I think and the way to think about the vision cost as well is that it's sort of traced like movement. So as you move to like see, as your vision is being calculated, your total vision power basically is subtracted by the tiles. So like I can see here, but then I could see. So if I've got a total of 5 vision, which I don't remember what the white knight had. Yeah, 5 vision. So if I look at this and I imagine I have this number in my head, I have 5. So 5 minus, well, I guess that one doesn't count. 5 minus 3 is 2. And then I can't see this tile here that I'm mousing over, which is dark, because to see into both of those tiles would be a cost of 6. And my power is only 5. So I can only see this first tile here. Um, you don't ever have to like do that math because we just do it all for you. So basically, if anything is dark like this, you can't see inside of it. Whereas if it's light, you can have vision on it. And then as you move, that vision also can like update and show you more. Oh, found an enemy there. So it will show you new stuff that's added.
Yep. All right. Kind of jumping off of that, we have uh, one app. Actually, what I don't know what the vision modifier does.
The vision modifier is just it's a value that an interactable can have. So in the same way that an interactable can affect the capacity of a tile by its weight, the vision modifier allows you to affect the vision cost of that tile. I actually don't even know if we're using
Mm.
this yet. I can't remember if we looked
We
it
could
up.
use we like if we um like when we were adding all of the medieval tiles, we could have added a vision modifier perhaps to buildings or walls
Yeah,
so that
buildings or
you couldn't
walls.
see past walls.
Yeah. The other idea too is that like yeah exactly if we had a well, I guess it'd be if it's something that you can move, you could have something have like a you could have like sort of a mobile wall, and that wall itself could have a really high vision modifier, which would mean that you can't see into it. Oh, we can actually just check real fast. Let's see if it works.
Yeah.
We can just edit it. So if we make this
Yeah.
be like I don't know 3 or something, and then load it back up, we can see if the tile vision changed based on that.
So also, fun thing about Depot and Cantata is that because everything in this game is driven by a Depot file, you can just change a number and it'll happen in the game. It
It's
just
just
works.
updated. It just
My favorite
works.
Kyle phrase. It just works.
So
It
yeah, so
just
we just
works.
changed that data, and now, so it actually did work. So I'm looking here. So the floor tiles normally we can see have a vision cost of 1, but if I actually mouse over this interactable here at the bottom, I can see it says floor terrain, and I can see now that it has a vision cost of 4. So it does
Which
actually
is
edit that. That's the vision modifier. So it's 1 base tile plus 3 for the vision modifier on that thing. So you can imagine, like, if you want to make like a smoke screen or something that can like move around, you could have the smoke itself have a higher vision modifier that makes it harder to see inside of specific tiles.
great.
Do we want to edit the vision too, just to show it like having more vision looks like?
Yeah, I think so. Let's do that.
So right now
We
we've
need to
got a
see how
vision range of
responsive the
5.
game is.
Yeah. What do you think we should change it to?
Uh, let's change it to 2
2.
right
Oh.
now. I'll just like constrain the map.
Mm-hmm. So load this back up. Ooh, much more constrained. It's also easier to count here. So you have there's the 2 vision on top of the sort of base vision cost. And the other thing too, right, is that we'll get into movement stuff in a little bit, but you can only move where you can see. So even if this unit here, so it's got a movement range of 5. So even though it has a movement range of 5, because it can't actually see these tiles over here, its movement range is cut short. However,
It's now the blind knight.
the blind knight. um, oh, actually, this is a bug. Wait, no. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right?
Oh, but it's because oh,
Oh, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, yeah. So
it's because we
basically,
can, as the player, still see those tiles.
yeah, so it's not like that unit itself has to be able to see where it can move to. It's just that you as a player have to have vision over where it can move. So we can't move past here because we're the furthest unit out. We can't see this, but we could move all the way over here, which is a 5 movement, because these other units over here can see. However, if we were to like, move these out, let's move them over and then go here, it'll be all alone. Yeah, and so now it
In
can't
a sea
actually
of, yeah,
can't move.
womp womp.
Poor knight, all alone.
Poor blind knight. Right. Vision modifier.
So that's the vision
Okay.
modifier. I'll make it back to the
Yeah.
0 again.
And then, so the explore range is tiles that are explorable, quote unquote, and those are stacked on top of the vision range. So if we go into the map, we see that there are tiles that are 100% within your vision, and there is no opacity to them, but a few tiles, and that number of tiles is determined by that column in depot, is the like, what's it, 50% dark
Yeah, it's like sort
tiles.
of. I'm just gonna make like a quick like where's our medieval stuff?
Nice.
I'm just gonna make like a new it's gonna chug. No, okay, cool. I think just to show maybe a simpler
Yeah.
example, we'll call this one alone. All right. So you want to talk about explore range?
Yeah. So basically there's 3 layers of tiles that you can see right here on this map. There's the ones directly adjacent to the white knight, which are what we've been looking at until now. And then there's these 2 darker tiles that are past that. So those 2 right there, we can see that they're the floor if you hover over them. We even have tooltips. We have insight into their weight limit, their vision cost, stuff like that. But if you were to hover over the completely black tiles, those are no longer within our quote unquote explorable range. So we have two things. We have the vision range and the explorable range. And again, that explorable range is on top of the vision range. So if we go into depot, let's do that. And our explore range is 3.
Some off
So
by one somewhere.
somewhere. Let's change that to 6 or something. Yeah, 6. Why not? So let's just kind of double that explore range. We can see that we now have so much more insight into what the map holds into the future. And these also, the explore range abides by the vision cost rules, where if a tile costs 3 to see into, I believe this is how this works. I believe. No, it's not.
This is something we talked about this week.
Oh.
Where it was just like I realized that we might need an explore cost because you can have stuff block things, but we don't have that in yet. But
well.
Very generous of you to think that it's already in the game. Thank you.
Very generous. Yeah, great. A+.
Yeah, and the other thing too to know about the explore range is that so anything that is visible or explored will always be at least visible or explored. So so for example, just like a quick example, I forgot these are done. So if I move this unit like over here, what's going to happen is that my current visible tiles will update, but my explored tiles will basically stick. So if I move over here, you'll see that my vision updates and what was explored before is still explored. So you can almost imagine it like sort of painting the map, where you can kind of always, once you figure out what stuff is on the map, you'll always have access to that, but it's not like you lose what's explored. So that's why we call it explored tiles, because you have actually like explored the map. And so you should still know what's roughly in those areas, even if you don't have direct vision of it. However, movement is still only allowed for stuff that's visible, not explored. So even though I've seen all this stuff over here, my movement range isn't big enough anyways, but I could only move to like this max visible tile here. I couldn't move into what's explored.
Yeah. And I think that somewhat answers Bossaru's question.
Oh,
but
Bossaru's here.
Yeah. Hello. So yeah, movement can be done in pieces. A recent change, which is great, is that you can move as many times as you can. How much AP you have to spend per turn. So you can creep tiles if you feel like you're walking into an ambush. You can move 2 tiles, have all of that vision and explorable tile range update, and then keep kind of creeping along in kind of like a sneaky way.
Yeah, but at the cost of AP, like you said.
At the cost of AP. So, and can you tell if there's objects or just terrain in the explorable range, Kyle?
You can only tell what terrain is there. So the objects itself that are in the explorable range, you can't see. So if there was something that was hiding right here around the edge, you would not be able to see it. So that's sort of why, yeah. So and I think we talked about this a little bit last stream too, where we've sort of I guess kind of hard coded it in Cantata, where you can't ever move where you can't see. So you don't get this issue of like stuff trying to move somewhere where it can't see and then bumping into it. So you should always sort of have the information, specifically because I've never really liked it in games where, like, if I had this unit and I tried to move over here and I'm playing a tactics game, so I'm like theoretically making a decision that's sort of tactically meaningful. If I go here and then like there's a unit that's here, the game has to like bump me out or something to a different place along my path. And where that like bump happens is sort of indeterministic. And because of a lot of other stuff in the game, like that could be a very bad situation. So there's a way to look at that where like maybe you're being punished because you tried to move too far into enemy territory. But I'm just like, let's not even worry about that problem. Let's just say you have to have vision where you're moving. And that sort of like solves it, because you obviously can't move into where a unit's at. And then if there's stuff in your path, those are invalid path tiles. So you're never moving in a way that is like indeterministic where you'll end up. So that to say that stuff can hide inside of your explorable range. And it's also like certain units in different factions have different, like we play with this range. So like a scouting unit, for example, has a really high like vision range, and then also maybe a really high explore range. So if you just like send that out, it can sort of see everything around. Or you can even have something different where it's like a scouting unit has a very small vision range but has a huge explore range, so they can explore stuff but they can't really see what's immediately near them, which could actually be like I don't, like that's sort of how like landscape like GIS image data works. It's satellites, is that you can sort of see everything broadly, but you can't focus on details. So having a unit you could even build where, you know, it's got a very small vision range. But actually, let's just do it really fast just to show you. It'll take 2 seconds. So if this white knight character, we said it has a vision range of 2, but had an explore range of like 20. You'll be able to see the whole map, but it itself can only sort of inch along the map into where it could possibly move to. So you can kind of, you can see how you can like evoke flavor with these stats in sort of a fun way. Alone. Yeah. So there you go. So this thing can see like all of this stuff, even though its movement range is really small. Just a little bug there. And one other thing to notice, Boster, for your question too. So when this unit is moving from here to here, you can see that like some tiles right here, I don't actually have vision of. So a unit could actually be hiding here, sort of near me. And if I was to move over this direction, boop, it's possible that it could still hide in that stuff. So you want to sort of, if you have units around somewhere, you do want to have vision generally around where stuff is at, because it's totally possible that things are sort of hiding in the shadows around you.
Nice. All right, I think that covers it for some vision and explore. Let's move on. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Category, I think that's just for cleanliness.
Yeah, it lets you I'll just show you really fast. It lets you categorize interactables in the scenario editor. So if I go to modding here, and I go to interactables, I can see that I have my categories here. And what the game does is that it will just group stuff in the same categories that's user defined. So ideally people sort of gather around general names for categories. There's a weird translations thing which kind of sucks. So like if you don't speak English, then unit might be called something else to like a French person. But the idea is that like you can just, it's sort of like tags. You can sort of tag your unit with a name, so it's easier to sort of find in the thing down here. So I realized my screen was being cut off.
Nice. All right, default heading. This kind of plays into what direction the unit is facing based on the sprite sheet.
Yeah, so this is just like what direction the unit is looking at by default. So it's more of a visual thing. It doesn't really have any gameplay stuff.
Yeah. Attackable. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Can it be attacked?
Yep.
Can this unit not be attacked? I do see a question and a comment. Osru says, oh yeah, cool idea. Units with higher speed than their movement sound like they'd need some support. Yeah, and then you can create new units to be able to play into that. Fun synergy thought. Yeah, I agree. And then Tan Squared asks, so when a unit moves, the vision updates at the end of the move rather than the vision constantly updating as it is moving.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. The explored tiles will update along that path, but the final vision of what something has vision of only updates point to point. So there's a few reasons for that, but one of them is like we sort of think of it where a unit is like in transit, so the movement is almost like instantaneous, and it's like it's moving, so it can't really see outside the window or something. And we don't really want it to be where like you sort of like see something and then don't see something because it goes out of vision, and then you're like, oh, there was something there, and then you have to like move something back that direction. But yeah, so the actual active vision only translates point to point from source to destination, but explorable tiles get updated all the way along that path.
Awesome. All right. Let's skip input supply
What are you talking more about?
slots.
Attackable?
Oh, I guess we could. Should we?
Well, just I think
Do
like
we want
talking
to?
about what like creative things you could do with attackable.
Okay. Yeah, so attackable. Just you're just talking about just attackable, right?
Yeah,
Not with an attack. Okay.
yeah,
So basically units, and we have seen this, units can attack other units. Interactables can attack other interactables. But if an interactable is not attackable, that could be something like a building that
yeah.
you don't want to have be destroyed on the map. Um, what else might not be attackable?
Yeah, I
Um,
think like maybe stuff that's like I don't like for Cantata, like our game specific, I think a lot of stuff is attackable, but if you're making like a mod or something, you might have stuff where you want things on the map that are interactable and they do interactable type stuff. So like we'll talk about storage I think a little later, but also like supply lines or whatever, they're like things that are more like infrastructure for your mod, whatever. Like I can't even think of if you had some mod where you needed supply lines to be set up a specific way to like do some specific thing, but also in that same map you had different factions that had the ability to attack stuff. What you don't want is those players to like destroy your stuff that makes your mod run. So you would uncheck this flag, making those things effectively be unable to be targeted by the other players. So I don't know if you've ever played like any sort of Warcraft 3 mod or something. They'll do these things where there's like some other part of the map has got like the warps to pick your faction or whatever. And like those units you use to pick options on the map aren't able to like attack each other or attack the portals. This is sort of a similar idea where basically you can uncheck this and it sort of removes that stuff from being able to be targeted. That could be for a million different reasons. There's no like one reason to do that, but we just give it to you here because if you need to do that and you're like, oh, I've got this thing set up and it's so annoying that people like break my mod because they go attack my buildings that give supply or something, you can uncheck this flag and that stuff is basically unable to be targeted, can't be destroyed, all that stuff. Yeah.
nice. Oh, looks like there's, yeah, um, definitely merit in making small moves in some elements, kind of like a we've been talking about one of the factions will be a little bit more nimble uh, and sneaky. So maybe making smaller movements would be useful for that. And if you are sprinting, like if there is a some kind of scout unit, um, and you want to sprint fast, just to see as much as possible or explore the map to know what you're seeing, there is that interesting question of like, are you missing
Yeah.
a enemy interactable that could see you and might still be able to see you and attack you after your turn ends and you're not sure they're there? Definitely, definitely makes a lot of fun situations tactically. Waiting patiently for the printer settings section for paint mode.
Gant Productions is talking about Cantata Paint, which was our our April Fool's joke where we showed off
Can
yeah, the
can
painter
we just
mode.
take a second to go find the
Go find
Cantata paint?
Cantata Paint. Yeah, we'll bring up Cantata
Yeah.
Paint real fast. Find it. Um,
Oh my gosh, so good.
it's totally not on topic. Gant. But because we love you, we'll talk about it. Let me find it. Yeah, it's actually funny because this is yeah, here we go. So I'm gonna the sound is muted. Oops. So we just made this sort of like old school Kid Pix Disney Magic Artist Studio overlay for the for the creator tools for the game. Um, But so the thing is that this is actually all really possible in Cantata.
It's possible,
It's
yeah.
possible
I
you
had
can actually do it. I see
I
a
had
thing about
someone tell me, "Oh, that's how cantata should work," and I was
it.
like,
Like,
"What?
oh, great
What?
idea.
What do you mean?" They're like, "Yeah, yeah, cantata paint. That's how it should work." And I just made this face like, "What are you talking about?" And then my friend said, "Oh, is that how it does work?" And nice, yes.
Yes, here's your Cantata Paint preview. Just throw this stuff on there.
Just
No,
imagine some nice sound effects.
yeah, imagine your sound effects. There are placement sound effects, so you could even make it so it places, but
Yeah,
um, some butterflies.
could could play on a map that's just this. Might be a little harsh on the eyes.
Yeah,
Could I
it might
actually
be
do
hard to
that?
play with
Yes.
it. Yeah.
It might be hard to play.
You could actually
Um,
make this. Yes, you can if you want to make
you
a
can make the
weird.
eyes even. You can make the eyes or the butterflies an interactable instead of a terrain. Could move those
Move
things on
the
the
eyes
map. That could
around.
be, yeah. Vision. Okay. If an enemy would have vision of you, would they be able to see your unit move? Like where you may miss an enemy, would an enemy with higher vision score be able to see you? So I think if an enemy is moving, uh, if they are, I think it's all still point to point. Like if an enemy is in transit, you won't see them moving across your vision.
Right.
Is that so? It's possible that there might be two like ways uh, to for both players to miss each other. But if one faction has a greater vision and that enemy unit ends up at the very periphery of that vision, not the explorable range, but the vision range, you will see that um, the enemy has gone through your vision, and that also might be um, they're there, and that's the end of their movement, and then they move out because it's their second movement.
Yeah. So this is sort of one thing that we're. This is a really great question, Tan. One thing we're sort of thinking about this too is like in the older versions of the game, you could only move or attack once per turn. So if someone was to move into your vision range and you saw them, you would be able to see them because and they don't move until it's your turn because then you only move once per turn. So that's their movement. However, um, if someone moves into your vision range and now because you can move multiple times per turn provided you have AP, it is possible they could then move out of your vision range while you have vision of them and it's not your turn yet. So what we're thinking of doing is basically sort of adding like a ghost on the map that when it's your turn it will like I think we'll probably spawn it when it's not even your turn just to say like, oh, an enemy was here last time when it wasn't your turn, which is this is actually how the game Old World, which is another sort of sister 4xe weird thing. That's actually what they do too, because their units can also move multiple times per turn. So if a unit is to move into your vision range and then move out of your vision range, both on their turn, the game will actually spawn a little like ghost indicator to be like, oh, there was an enemy here at one point. You should be aware of that. Because what we don't want to happen is that like you've got to like look all over the map all the time on your turn to like try to track any enemy movement. Like maybe that could be a fun game somehow, but that's not really the game that we're trying to build. We want to try to give you the information where it seems valid for you to have the information. So in that case, like Rogue was talking about, we'd probably spawn a little notification, something on the map that was like, oh, an enemy was spotted here recently. Um, and we might even like say what it was, but basically it's as if you have vision over that tile. Yeah.
Nice.
Great questions. Thanks everyone for joining the chat. It's great to have people in here who are like interested in what we're doing. So keep the questions coming. They're great.
Yeah, please. All right. Input supply slots. I feel like we should skip this.
We'll skip this for now. Yeah.
Great. All right, flying. Flying, it just indicates whether or not a unit is quote unquote a flying interactable. And that more has implications for the map because some terrains may allow, is it some terrains
Oh, it's just
may
for
allow
sound
flying?
stuff.
It's just okay. It's just for sound stuff. Never mind. Um, but it does have implications for uh, whether or not a unit can be loaded or unloaded,
Yeah.
which we can circle back to. Um,
Yeah, it's basically like what we don't want is that if you have like an airplane and we have a terrain system, right, where stuff moves over terrains and makes sounds when it moves. If you have a flying unit like an airplane, you don't want it to like make the terrain sound movement. So this flag is basically like it's essentially like when this thing is moving, should terrain make sound? But also we might change it because even just as Rogue was describing it, it's sort of confusing. We could just say like interacts with terrain or something. I don't know. But yeah, right now, go ahead.
Oh, for sound specifically. I don't really have much else to say about that.
Yeah. Are you saying? Sorry, I can't hear you. You're saying something.
No, I'm reading a comment, which is, should I just read it out loud?
Yeah, read out
Do
loud.
you want to respond to it? All right. Bossery says an enemy spotted or enemy last seen is a great thing to have. It also opens up Alien's motion tracker-esque idea if that's relevant, i.e., a unit triggers enemies last seen if it's in their explore range as a special thing. Could be fun for modding.
Mm. That could be really cool. Yeah, I don't know. It'd have to be in the vision. One thing we could do for like a motion tracker is basically that you've got a it's an interactable. So we'll talk about storage in a little bit, but basically it could be something that you carry around and you put on the ground, and itself doesn't have the ability to have movement, but it's got a big vision range, so it's almost like a little beacon. And so and then you can move away from it and you can't move it around, but it could just sort of sit there and sort of like watch stuff. Which could be really cool. Yeah.
And it could be attackable, which means that,
you could destroy it.
You could destroy it.
Yeah.
Tan has PTSD to playing Alien Isolation.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay, next one. Description. It is a description. Is that surfaced on the info panel or?
I don't remember actually. It's been so long since I've touched that one.
This isn't really a mechanic. It's
Don't say that because someone's gonna make it be a mechanic. Some way.
Oh boy. Well, why not? Why not? Emergent modding.
Yeah, I don't think it's surfaced. I think it's supposed to be surfaced somewhere around here at some point, but is not yet surfaced.
Not yet. All right, next one. Moving on down the line. So, terrain flags. This is the terrain that an interactable can move upon, move across. Hero sprite index. Kyle.
Yeah, so this has to do with specifically the display of something when it's being placed. So if you look at like this, I'll close this for a second. So if you look at this sprite sheet, sprites are counted from left to right, top to bottom, starting at 0. So like, I can't really do it. I want to like point at my screen, but if you look at the top right, so starting from the left, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if you were to look at those as sprite indices, as they're called, the number in here, that hero sprite index is the sprite at that index that appears, drumroll please, here. So what appears in the actual UI when you're building something in a scenario map is drawn from what the hero sprite index is here. So if each of these is 8, so 8 times 3 is 24. So the fourth row would be 25, 26, 27. So the third one from the left on the fourth row is the hero sprite. And you can change that, right? So if I look this here, maybe let's make it just be something obvious. So that's 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. So we make this be 35. What we'll see inside the UI is that the interactable or the image that's displayed will be one of the ones with the red arrows through it. Oops, interactables, unit. Oh, wait, did I not save? Oh, is that the wrong? Oh no, what has happened? I don't know why that's not working. Oh, maybe I counted wrong? 35? I count this wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe I broke it. I don't know why it's not working. But that's basically what it is. It's how that unit, if it's displayed in the UI, will appear. So that could also be like an infrastructure, which I don't remember if we talked about as part of the stream. But if you're building something on the map, the thing, basically what that is that anywhere that thing appears in the UI, we will pull that sprite for it. So
Great.
That's weird. I have no idea why it's not working, but
all right.
The game's still in development.
Next one. Yeah, we're making a video game. Gant, it's a pleasure having you.
Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah. Thank you. We will keep up the work. All right. Next, moving on. Very exciting. This is new. I believe it's brand new as of this stream. We've got storage attributes. So now interactables can have storage. So let's open up that little eyeball there. And right now, if there's nothing in this, we won't have the ability to have any kind of storage. So this white knight, which we saw there was a storage panel, but we pretended it wasn't there, it should only show up if we actually add these storage attributes. So if we add the attributes, we have 3 things. We have storage slots, and this is anywhere basically up to 12 slots. And that is hard-coded. You can't add more than 12 slots. But you can imagine that perhaps a unit only has 1 storage slot, and so you can really only store 1 thing or 1 stack of things. Or you could just have a unit that can store infinite, quote unquote, 12. 12 is infinite, right?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. 12 is infinite objects in Cantata. And then we have these loadable types. This kind of ties into that flying checkbox that we saw earlier. It's actually right up there. You can hover the mouse. So we can load flying types, or we can load ground interactables, or not flying, or we could load both. So, and then we have a load target weight limit. So how heavy is the interactable that we are trying to load? So let's actually save this. And I think we can try to load a white knight into another white knight storage with this. So a white knight is not a flying unit. So we checked not flying. And also a white knight weighs 5. So we should be able to open up one of the medieval map and be able to load a white knight into a white knight storage. So now we can see that we have this very, very beautiful storage panel. And we can load into any of these 12 slots.
You have to add the aspect first.
Oh, we need to add the aspect, right? So right now we just have storage.
Yeah, so this is, I think, just real quick, we have, there's like sort of 3 things that are wrapped up in storage. The concept of storage itself. So if you've ever played like Advance Wars, think of it sort of like the APC, where the APC can store something inside of it. The APC in Advance Wars can only store 1 thing. I think, I don't remember, someone's going to kill me if I got that wrong. I think it can only store 1 thing. For Cantata, things have basically 12 slots, but also those slots we'll talk about a little more in a second. But the thing about storage is that just because something has storage does not mean that it can implicitly load or unload stuff from those slots. And the reason for that is that, again, thinking of modding, imagine you want something that's like, I don't know,
Foster says a bunker.
a bunker that you can like put stuff in, but those things can't
Yeah.
get out or something, or you want to take stuff out of something, but you can't put stuff into something. So we don't assume that just because you have storage, you also want the ability to load and unload stuff. There's also sort of implications for UI where if we give something the ability to unload something, the UI might unload it, which would like break stuff. So so there's sort of three things. There's both the concept of storage, there's the ability to load something into storage, and there's the ability to unload something from storage. So I'm gonna just real quickly, we'll talk about this in a second.
Yeah.
I was just gonna add it and then we'll talk about it later. Okay, so now it should be added. I actually have to save this. Just so you can finish your spiel for loading and unloading. So now if we click this and go to storage, yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Now we can load in any slot. So basically we have the ability to choose which slot we want to load something into. I don't really care if you have a preference.
Slot 3.
Slot 3. Great. So we can see this purple outline, this subject to change. This is a range that you can try to load or unload from. They're different, but let's just try to load in a white knight. So if you can hover over another white knight, we can see the cursor changes. It looks like we're good to go. Let's just load it into storage. AP.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. If you look on the upper left, the little lightning bolts are our AP icons. And if you hover over, you can see and preview how much it's going to cost to load this item into storage, this interactable into storage. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's spend some money.
Yeah, and just because basically loading and unloading is not a free action. So you can't just load and unload stuff willy-nilly. If you're loading or unload, I mean, you could make it a free action. You can set the AP cost inside of the modding tool for how much that stuff costs. But if you're doing these actions, they actually cost AP. If you've decided that it costs AP.
Yeah. So let's load it right now.
Boop.
And boop. Look, it's in storage. You can see there's 1 out of 1. And let's just quickly show unloading. So let's click on that. There, and then we can unload right next to here. Oh, and now we've spotted the enemy. We found something. Okay, let's go back to depot because I think we briefly touched on some of the next items. So if we go back to interactable info.
Oh, yeah.
On the white knight. Yep, and then let's scroll over. So we have a max loadable stack size. So what that number means is how many can stack of this type of interactable in storage, in something else's storage. In one slot. And so right now this white knight can be the sole interactable in another interactable storage slot. We can change that number. We can stack 4 if we want. We could stack more. Yeah, let's add a few. This also, so real quickly, this does, that load target weight limit that we saw is a 10. So the items that we can fit in storage are the minimum of the stackability and the weight. So right now the white knight weighs 5. And so because you can see that number 10 in the slot, we can only fit 10 weight in the slot total. If we change that, or if there's another really large unit that can fit 20, then we could fit the max number stacked, which is 4. So we could fit 4 white knights in one slot if we had a really large unit. But right now, let's load into a slot one of the white knights.
Yeah, so just to describe what'll happen again too in sort of different words. So we loaded this in, and so even though the white knight has a max stack size of 4, which means that across any interactable, the most that a single slot and a single storage could have is 4. However, because on this interactable, its max storage weight size is 10 and a white knight weighs 5, we can see here that our max is actually only 2. So there's a way where you can basically have bigger stuff that's got bigger containers that things can fit in, but also you can hard lock how many of something can exist. So for like a unit like this, right, like it might not make sense that you stack, like philosophically, or like from like the metaphor that we're trying to get at, it might be that like, oh, it's weird to like stack multiple humans or something. So you might just have it where like this thing has got some storage and then a white knight can only have 1 on top of it. So you have to have 5 slots for 5 knights. However, if you had like a unit that represented like, I don't know, a Trojan horse or something, it might make sense that it has a fewer number of slots. Also, the other thing to describe here quickly is that once an interactable is assigned to a slot in storage, only other interactables of that type can go onto that slot. So you can't like mix and match per slot. Now that I have a white knight in here, I can only add more white knights, which you can even see there's a little sort of alpha out thing here. So yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we can see that number also right there, right above that load interactable. It's 1 out of 2. Yeah. So we do the math for you. You don't have to do any of it. If you're playing the game or you're building a mod, you can just put those numbers in works. And go. It just works. So let's real quickly pause the game and change the weight of the white knight to be 2. Sure. Maybe.
We've also got some questions I'll read out for you. So Basaru asks, so with storage, this is for any interactable, like even buildings as well. So a bunker could work.
Yep. So storage is available to all interactables because we don't differentiate between a unit or a building. Anything that you want to be a building has access to this. You could even make a vending machine interactable.
Yeah, like,
this is my favorite.
It doesn't move. It's just got, it like only unloads stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Boster also says APC holds 1. Okay, I was right. I was like worried that it held multiple stuff. The transport plane could hold 2. Yeah. Boster also asked, what happens to units in storage if the unit carrying them is destroyed?
Kaboom. Everything is
recursive kaboom.
Recursive kaboom. Everything is destroyed, which is incentive for you to not have that happen. So if you do have something that can carry a bunch of stuff, and maybe to make it interesting, you make it very slow moving, you might want to accompany that unit with some like mobile melee like units
or something, yeah.
An escort, exactly, because it would be high catastrophic to your gameplay if that were to be destroyed. Yeah, be smart with your storage unit.
Yeah. I also think like for Cantata specifically, like the stuff that we designed for the game will probably have like, you know, like I would imagine like maybe the max slots something might have in Cantata, like our game that we're making might have like 4 slots. And then those slots have like some weight limit that's like 10 or something like this thing has. I don't really see us having a unit that's got all 12 slots, 60 weight. You can store 30 things of everything. You could do that in a mod, like have fun, do that for sure. But for our game, like it will never, like, because we don't want, like, we want much more of the game to exist on the map. So the storage stuff is sort of a fun utility thing that we can also use for other gameplay systems, but it's not like everything is so focused on storage all the time. You've got just stuff and everything. Yeah. Also, just to your question too, Basaru, you can, like, if you want to have a unit that's got storage and you put something in that, you can also put that thing in something else. So you can sort of have recursive storage if you Russian nesting doll style.
Definitely. We could put white knights and white knights and white knights and then destroy that white knight and you've lost all of your white knights. R.I.P.
King Arthur's gone, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I just changed the weight of the white knight to 2. So what should happen now? What was the goal?
We should be able to stack 4 white knights.
Yeah.
because we had set that max stackability to 4.
Yeah. So if we click the white knight here and then we click storage and then we go to one of these slots, let's just click this one. We can click this and we should see, yeah, there you go. So now 1 of 4.
Yeah.
And then if we
They-
want
they
to,
weigh
oh, go ahead.
little. Oh yeah.
I was gonna say if we want to as well. So these slots now. So what happens if you click any of these slots now? It'll just sort of trigger loading for that slot. However, if you click one of these other slots that's got something in it, it shows you other places that you can load stuff in. So if I want to put another knight in this slot, I could click this. Oh, I'm actually out of range. I need to move closer to some knights. Let's go over here. And then once he's there, oops. I'm going to click this slot here and I'll load up this one. So now you can see that that knight is in this slot. However, if I want to put a knight in like this slot now, I could click that and then click this. And now I've got that knight in this slot. So,
Yep.
yeah. Yeah. So that's...
Yeah. That's some storage.
Was there other stuff for storage? I guess AP cost. Oh, and
AP
unload.
cost to load and AP cost to unload. So right now the white knight costs 1 to load. You can imagine like maybe bigger units cost more to load, or smaller interactables cost less to load, or you're just picking up something off of that's super tiny off of the map and that could cost 0.
Yeah.
And then there's also a cost to unload. It's not 1-to-1. It can be. It might very often be the case that something costs the same to load and unload, but sometimes you might not want that. So 12 storage and 60 weight. Egad. I haven't. Oh my god, I used to say that all the time.
Egad.
Egads. I feel there's a cartoon that said that. Someone's making the mothership from the homeworld.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, if a unit can pick up and store itself, you could maybe pick up badly damaged units by others to stop those from being destroyed.
Yes.
A unit pick up itself?
I don't think it can
know.
pick up
I mean,
itself, but it could pick up.
No,
Yeah.
it can pick up others if you allow it to, like the numbers work out that you can pick up other units of the same. Then yes, but a unit won't be able to like consume itself. Black hole.
Yeah, you can't do the like advanced wars thing.
Others of its own kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could stop them from being destroyed if that is a way that it could work for sure. Yeah.
But then if that thing gets destroyed, then they all die.
And then they all die. Yeah. So you gotta be careful. You can win some, lose some. And is something unloadable? If something is loaded, sometimes you might have the ability to, well, you actually might not be able to unload it. So something we were thinking about, what were we thinking about?
I think like stuff that, like maybe it's, here's an example in a medieval situation. Imagine, and this is something we do want to do, is that things that are in your storage can provide you passive benefits, or they can provide you passive status effects. So imagine there's a way where like you're on a medieval map and somehow something gives you like a bad potion, or like I don't know, you could have a status effect almost represented as an interactable as a way to do passive status effects. And then you don't necessarily want that to go away. So making that not be unloadable, I mean that it sticks with you and you can't get it out of your system, so to speak. I don't know if we actually use this in Cantata. There's a lot of stuff here that sort of Rogue is circling too, where we've split these up and made them more granular to give like people who are modding more ability to do stuff, even if we don't necessarily do them. So we've got some set of defaults here that we'll use most of the time. But we've like programmed it such that we account for edge cases where like something's not unloadable, or like the AP cost to load and unload is different. Like they don't need to be the same thing. So I think that might be one of the situations. I can't think of something specifically that we have that uses that. So
yeah. Okay.
No Ouroboros White Knights. Exactly.
Yeah. Is that the end of our interactable info?
Yes, we can talk about
Looks like.
the. Yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
Oh,
that's. I
what do you
think
want
that's
to
the end
talk
of the
about?
info.
Yeah.
You're good. Never mind.
Okay. What did you want to talk about?
I was gonna say we could start talking about the storage aspect stuff, but we got to talk about aspects and things more generally. So I
Yeah.
was I was jumping. I got too excited. I jumped the gun.
Well, it is a nice segue. So again, in this interactable sheet that we have in Depot, we have all of these columns that you can configure. We just went through all of the interactable info, um, and we kind of jumped around to aspects and didn't say anything about it. But essentially, in Cantata and in modding, every interactable needs to be configured to have certain functionality. This interactable info is basically stuff that every interactable will have, but not every interactable will be able to have certain what we call aspects. So the ability to move, the ability to attack, the ability to load and unload things, which is again one of those like three core components to storage. Um, any, Kyle, I'm going to defer to you now to talk a little bit more broadly about aspects
Yeah,
before
I
we
think
dive in.
it's basically, I think when if you understand, like we've talked about interactables a lot, and we also sort of throw around the word unit and buildings. The reason we don't call stuff units or buildings or like whatever so much, we always say interactables, is because the game, like Cantata, does not differentiate between a building and a unit and like a whatever. It's all an interactable, and all a building is just an interactable that doesn't have the ability to move, and we like make the art looks like a building. A unit like has the ability to move and attack, and the art sort of compensates for that. So the material of an interactable is really sort of open. So I mean, you could have a building that moves. There's nothing is stopping you from doing that. There's nothing in the code, like I think if you looked at the Cantata code, there's no like code that's like this is a building. It all just assumes functionality, and the functionality is separate. So what we do is we allow you to sort of piecemeal put together, or like a la carte, I guess, put together what an interactable can do between using aspects and projects. We'll probably talk about projects next stream, and I guess we'll probably talk about, I guess we've got enough time, I think, to talk about aspects. But so aspects give the thing like base, or give the interactable sort of base functionality to do stuff that's not just like exist. You don't have to have aspects. You could just have interactables that have these characteristics. Like we were talking before, I think Bossaru brought up this idea of like some sort of like sentry device that's like a thing that's got vision. You could have an interactable that literally has no aspects, no projects, nothing else. All it has is a big vision range and looks like a little sentry thing. And then it's loadable, so someone can load it up and drop it somewhere, and it's got a vision range or whatever else. That's totally valid. You don't even need to have aspects to do that stuff. So, but what aspects let you do is give you sort of more functionality on top of other things, and those get manifested sort of in different ways in the game. And so as we add sort of features to the game, we're like adding more aspects, and those are all really easy just to add new aspects. So if we need to find stuff, we have to add two interactables. We can just add a new aspect. We push it to the modding tool, and like you have access to it. There's also like the aspects themselves, importantly, are not like interdependent. So just because you have one aspect doesn't mean you need to have some other aspect. You can just sort of look at them and just use them as you need.
Yeah.
Bosser asks, is supply an aspect? Supply is not an aspect. That touches more on the project stuff, which we'll talk about. I think looking like we'll probably talk about it next stream. So we're getting close to time-ish, so I don't want to talk too much. Supply will come up probably more next time. But supply actually will probably end up being an interactable in Cantata, funnily enough. But it's not like you don't tag stuff as supply necessarily. Maybe you will actually when we sort of get further down that system, but not yet.
Yeah.
Tan Squared also asks, will I need to construct additional pylons? I'm trying to think. I don't think you'll need to construct additional pylons. The supply system in Cantata is not quite StarCrafty. So I think you should be fine with that. But yeah, so basically interactables have aspects. Aspects give interactables additional functionality. However, aspects are not required. So
Beautiful.
you want to talk about aspects?
Well, yeah, let's open it. So right now we've been using move on the map. I think that that's probably the best one to just open up and inspect. But essentially, right now we have these three aspects. We have move, attack, and load. You don't need any of them. You can have an interactable that moves but cannot attack. It's just like a sitting duck. That could be like a sentry, perhaps, or some kind of like, I don't know, that is able to move far and just scope things out. We've seen that movement has AP cost to execute. I think a lot of this might be self-explanatory now, just because the concepts are familiar. And we do have a range that we can move. I don't think we need to go to the map for some of these, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can just, I guess it's sort of like if we have a smaller movement range, when we go to load up the map, the knight character will have a smaller ability to move. So if I go here, boop, oh, tiny movement range. Yeah.
It's a knight with a really short horse.
Yeah, very, very short horse, very tired horse.
Very tired horse. Animation time to tile, that more pertains to animation.
It's just how long it takes the unit to move to its destination. So if you want something that looks like it's fast, you can change that. It's just art. There's no gameplay implication for that.
He is the knight that has the pony and not the horse.
Yeah, he pulled the short straw.
Yeah. Okay. Enabled.
That's just if the aspect is enabled. If it's not enabled, it won't be active. I don't actually remember why we use this. We're gonna clean some of this stuff up before giving it to you. But I think there was some specific reason that this flag was here to check if something was enabled or not. But I know that if this is here and you uncheck it, then you don't have access to it. So whatever.
All right, start sound and end sound. Some nice sound effects.
So you can choose a sound effect for the movement. Right now, sounds are baked into the game. We're looking at ways to do modded sound stuff. So if you want to add custom movement sounds, ideally we'll support that eventually, but definitely no promises there because that's like sort of harder than just doing like data and sprite sheets. So for now, you'll essentially have access to like every sound effect in the game, and then you can set those for the movement sounds. So
yeah. All right, that's it for move. I think it's.
And I was gonna demo one thing too, which is that.
Yeah.
So the knight has been able to move, right? But if we just take this aspect away and save this, and we load up the map again, we'll see that like the knight just can't move now. There's no ability for it to move, but it doesn't break or anything. It doesn't mess it up. It just doesn't have the ability to move. So when I click it, I have no movement range. Excuse me. I have no movement range. I have no ability to move anywhere. It's just sort of static. But it can attack. So as long as it's close by, it could attack to it. And then, just going back in here, adding this movement range here, saving that, and then coming back here, I have now added the ability for the knight to move. Oops.
Yay.
Is that a bug? I don't know what's going on there. Now it can move.
Oh, interesting.
That's a bug, yeah. So and I think when people talk about like wanting to add custom code to Cantata, the aspect system is sort of our response to that, where it's like we want to try to give you the stuff that can help you get at custom functionality without needing to actually code it. So if you're like, I want to have the ability for something to do this other thing, and we can't think of a way to sort of have that happen from combinations of what already exists, we can just add an aspect, and then you can just do it from there. So that's sort of the hope.
Yeah, nice. Shall we add the attack?
Yeah.
Oh, well, it already has. So what we have been seeing is there is a nice little red tile, which might look familiar based on every time we've uh, selected an interactable. There's these red tiles that indicate the attackable range, what we're calling the attackable range. But basically, that red pertains to the attack aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back to depot. So when you attack, you can obviously deal damage. It affects another unit's health. Um, that's a very, very common paradigm. Uh, I don't know what else to say about damage. Um, and then it also costs AP to attack. So you can imagine that there might be a very strong attack, but it's also very expensive. In this way, you could create. Um, Actually, let's open the attack pattern because there's this is the way these this grid of checkboxes represents tiles adjacent to an interactable. That center checkbox right there, uh, in between those blue checks, that's the interactable that we are attacking with. And so right now, this white knight has only 4 tiles that it can attack, and effectively we made it a melee unit. If we change that and change the pattern, we can make it a melee and a ranged unit, or right now it looks like it's a ranged unit. So let's save this
And this
and
also,
go.
Bosser just asked the question, is there a way to tinker with attack range? This is exactly this. So we don't actually have the concept of an attack range. We have basically, you can literally set what tiles are attackable. So we do it in a symmetrical way. But there's no, like, I'll just do something. Like if we did, like, I don't know, weird attack patterns or something like this, that just sort of works. So if we come back here and
Yeah.
reload this. Sorry, you can continue, Rogue. Sorry, cut you off.
Oh no, this is great. That's effectively a way to make directional attacks. Right now, this white knight is has a very directional attack towards the that skews towards the north direction. Um, I don't think we don't have a way right now to change that. Like if you're facing south or east or something, this attack pattern does not shift with it. Um, but we do have the ability to create this directional attack. Um, and it looks like we might get close to this.
This one can probably.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so if you click on that, you can see that there's this little icon here for the necromancer. Necromancer, great. Uh, um, and there's a bunch of previews that you can see. So this necromancer, I'm just gonna call it necromancer because it starts with necromancer a bajillion times. You can see that we have the ability to see how much health it has. That red square under the health is how much damage that we can do to it based on our attack damage. Um, and that little crosshair shows that we can attack it. So let's attack the horse, the necromancer.
Boom.
Oh, nice. Boom. Um, and let's attack it again. So we can attack, similar to movement, we can attack multiple times per turn. If that's all we want to do, and all we want to do is if we're in some kind of skirmish in tight quarters and we just need to spend all of our energy, all of our AP attacking, then that's what we can do. So we don't block you from only being able to attack once. We can artificially constrain how many times you can attack by increasing the cost of an attack.
Right.
So that is a way that you can also make sure that something is not too OP or I don't know, something that, yeah, I don't know. Just
I think the other thing too is that because it costs AP, I think it's easy in like isolation to be like, oh, it's so weird. You can attack like 6 times in a turn if something costs like 1 AP, and it's like, well, if something costs 1 AP, it's probably a very weak attack just by balance standards. But also, when you're spending that AP, the AP is a global pool. So if you spend 10 AP doing like 10 really weak attacks, like you're gonna deplete all your AP, and you like can't do other stuff. So you can't build new things on the map. You can't unload units. You can't like complete projects, which we'll talk about next stream. You can't like do other stuff. So if you're choosing to do that, we're like, yeah, do that. You have the ability to do it. You have the AP to do it. You can do it, but you're doing that at the expense of doing other things. So we think what will happen, and we hope, and I think we've seen it in playtesting, is that it does balance out. So it's not like it's a broken system or anything. I think that when we first did this system with the like attacking multiple times per turn, we realized what was happening was that we were really pulling from like Advanced Wars, sort of Final Fantasy Tactics scale games, where the idea was that, well, oh, you move an attack once per turn. And the reason for that in those games is that the maps are so small that if you can move or attack more than once per turn, like that is the strongest thing you can do. But because Cantata takes place on such a big map and like there's so much more stuff going on, the ability to move or attack once per turn is like sort of negligible. It like comes out in the wash. It's just like, okay, well, that thing's attacking multiple times per turn. And you have AP, so it's not even like everything. If there was no limiting factor, then that would be dumb because you could just kill everything all the time. But because there's that limit that prevents you from just like doing everything, and because also like moving costs too, right? So if I literally spent all my actions just attacking on one turn, all my units are going to be in the same position. So it's not like, oh, well, you can do a move and attack and then the next attacks cost AP. It's that, no, if I want to move something, I've got to spend the AP to do that. And then once I do that, like I'm out of AP and I can't do anything else. So having this sort of global action resource pool helps be like a creative constraint for like how you play a given turn.
Yeah, and that answers Boster's question about all AP on attack is a strategy that can backfire. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you go in on it and it's fine. But right now there's no we don't really have like the damage formula is really simple. It's literally like someone's got health and you subtract your damage. There's no like armor or anything yet. And then nor is there like any like randomness. There's no like chance to hit or whatever. We might add like criticals or something, but there wouldn't be a case where you, right now at least, where you try to attack something and you like miss all your attacks. So I'm not super worried about like that feeling. Like basically if you do something and you're doing that turn, you'll know what the sort of outcomes will be. And then a lot of other stuff sort of injects randomness because you can't see everything, whatever. So yeah, I'm not so worried about that. Like you take those turns and they feel wasted because you missed all your 98% chance to hits or whatever.
Yeah. All right. Poor brave knight with a Falabella steed who can only attack to the north. This is a very specific interactable unit.
It's very sort of Lance-like, isn't it? Yeah.
Deterministic combat, yes. For critical, maybe something in the vein of Wargroove, i.e. units need certain circumstances to crit.
Maybe. It might be more just like a percentage chance to crit or something. I think that doing Wargroove is able to do that because they have a fixed set of units that are like common, so they're basically prototypes. So developing really sort of unique scenarios where they crit is sort of easy. We could maybe add that as like something in interactable info, or I guess it might be a property in attack. You could imagine another little property here that's like crit conditions or something, and we can set up some sort of like trigger stuff that lets it happen. That's like, sort of further
like
down the
generals
road.
like great generals in Civ or something.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we've got a sound for attacking, classic, good stuff. All right, yeah, our white knight is back to being.
Sorry, knight, losing all your
sorry
runs.
Knight. And then we also have that enabled checkbox, which so let's go to load. Just like nothing to see here. Okay, so we also So unlike attack, right now we do have a load range. These ranges are more similar to the movement. We don't have load patterns or unload patterns. Although in my brain, all I want is a cannon that can just like unload,
Just
or like
shoot
some
stuff
kind of
across the
people
map.
cannon.
Yeah.
Yeah, shoot like, I don't know, like people go in and they're like, okay. Anyway, so we have this load range and an unload range. And again, we do have these checkboxes. So some if you add this aspect, an interactable might be able to load something, but you might not be able to unload anything from it. That is kind of like a black box of an interactable where it just consumes things, but never is able to um, unload onto the map again. So really pretty simple. We just have a load and unload range plays with the storage unit we talked about earlier. Let's increase the load range and the unload range,
And so make
maybe
this
to
like
5. And then, I mean, if we keep the unload range to 1, we can just load all of the white knights, and let's do
see what
that.
happens.
Let's open the game. Yes.
And so you could, I think probably what will happen too in Cantata is that the like the again the range is something where you can set the range, but for Cantata most stuff will probably be like adjacent loading. So you got to be like basically next to something to be loaded into it. We don't necessarily want in our game that a unit halfway across the map gets like loaded into the thing. The thing that's loading it either has to move close to it or that unit has to move closer. Um, so medieval. All right, let's see this one.
Yep. And
Storage.
let's
Yeah.
load. Let's load as many as we can.
Oh, it doesn't. So we're loading them all into the same slot. Can I do another one?
I think none of them are in range anymore. So
Move over here.
go down, yeah, and then load these guys. All right. And now that we've loaded them, we can also unload them. I think we have enough AP. Oh, don't move
I gotta get the
anymore.
last one.
You got it? Okay. All right.
And so this is also a nice demonstration. So this slot now you can see here is actually full. It's got its full 4 out of 4 slots. But I can also just pick another slot here and I can load that into that slot. If I wanted to like track which interactables are on which slot, these little tooltips here do show who's like, actually, let me do something. I think this thing can attack, right? Yeah. So if I move this here, I actually wonder if that's going to die.
It might die.
It might die.
Move it back a bit, because then the other one has to move 1 to be able to attack.
what a hack. That's great. Okay. So we'll just end the turn. So now, oh, they don't actually move.
Oh.
There's no movement AI yet. Well, I'm trying to think of the best way to.
Just give it more health.
Oh, they have to. I'll reload them all. Whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I click this and store.
But take our word for it that you can inspect the health and be able to tell which unit is which interactable is which in the storage. Okay.
All right. So now they're all loaded up.
And now let's just make a phalanx of horses by unloading.
And so you can see that the loading and unloading range is separate. So we can only, this one right now is just configured where it can only unload stuff next to it.
Boss 3, there is no friendly fire.
Yeah, there's no, not right now. There might be a thing where it might be like a toggle, maybe. One other thing we're thinking about adding actually is that the attack pattern on the map is separate than the targeting pattern, if that makes sense. So basically that you might have a range around you in which you can sort of mouse over valid tiles that can be attacked on. But the you can actually attack multiple tiles. So there could be a situation where like if this enemy right here was like right here, but you had a cross attack pattern and you tried to attack that enemy, you would then damage your own units or something if friendly fire was turned on, which would seem like maybe it would seem like sort of like obvious in that scenario. It'd be kind of cool to do that. So maybe you can't like deliberately attack your other units right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's
Seems
something we're
useful
sort of
for
looking at.
mods, so yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's still got some units in it, but because now we are sort of surrounded, we can't unload it to any of these tiles.
Oh, but okay, so
Oh, I just did the thing. I totally
here's
I
you just
forgot
did the
about that.
thing.
I was like, wait, what is that telling me?
I'm like, wait, why is it okay? So this makes things a little fun is you can unload into other interactables that can load. So right now, what Kyle just did and we both forgot
On
about was
accident. Yeah.
on accident was he unloaded one of the white knights into the other white knight's storage, um, which is a way that like instead of like unloading onto the map and spending that AP and selecting another interactable to load that interactable in it, you can just do a handoff, like
Yeah.
straight up. And I think it just costs the unload cost.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay for the unload cost of the interactable that is moving that other interactable out of storage, and also pay the cost of the receiving interactable to pay for the loading. You just have to pay one flat fee, which is the unload cost.
Yeah. So this one right now, this one on the east side of the middle knight, its storage has got this interactable here. And so if I click this, I can actually mouse over this little middle unit here. And when I click, it removed it out of my storage. So I can see here that this unit now doesn't have anything in its storage. But if I go to this middle interactable here, I can see that that's now in here. So you can,
Yep.
like Rogue was saying, you could transfer them to other interactables, which is sort of a more efficient way, and just like less clicks. So you don't have to like you were saying, click it, put it on the map, grab it, and then we'll grab the other interactable and tell it to load that, and then they pay that AP cost. Or like if they're far apart, you don't have to move them or something. So
Yeah.
sort of
And
easy to transfer.
something to know is also because you're unloading from one storage, we handle the placement of that interactable into the receiving interactable storage. So if it's stackable, then we'll just auto shove everything into one slot. And if it's not stackable, then we'll just find the first open slot. So you don't have to worry about managing that there.
This actually gives me an idea that we should add like some way to manage these things, like move them between slots. Like if you have like this one, if you wanted to like move this to like this slot, you should be able to like click this and then click that slot and then it would like move it.
Yeah.
Or if like, because if you like get something transferred and you want to put it in a different stack for whatever reason, it'd be nice to maybe have that. But that's a nice to have.
It is I think I did mention it in a message to you when I was misunderstanding that big long wall of text earlier. I was like, oh, but then you will need a way to manage like the storage and with it. Okay. And then you said something. I was like, okay, we'll just forget about it. Tan squared. You can store something that already is storing something else. Let's put all of these horses into one, because why not?
So if I move this one, so I'm gonna load this one into here. Oops.
I think they mentioned like a stacking doll. Yeah, like the Russian doll situation. We'll just.
I'm out of AP. Wasted my turn. I was like, why can't
But it's okay. The necromancer can't move, so. Okay, and then wait. Yes, and then put that white knight with all four of the horses inside of
this one?
the. Yeah.
This UI
So,
is. This is a bug.
Interesting.
UI bug. I'm just writing this down.
I think we got our first spam.
Want to be famous?
5 followers. Yeah, that would be some major
Finally,
Trojan
buy some
horse.
followers.
Yeah, this is quite the Trojan horse. Just unload like a whole bunch of.
I mean, if you want to be famous, you should definitely click that link. That seems very, very valid.
Should I click at your own risk? I've been getting so many spam text messages at least 3 times a day.
Yeah.
It's just like this.
All right.
Okay.
So I'm gonna load this one.
Yep.
So just to recap, this night has full 4 storage here. So if I go to this night and then its storage and then load this, so that loads fine. And if I go here, I can see that its storage is here. One thing
And
I
it
do.
only has that.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, it just, you can see that it only shows that one night.
Yeah. One thing I do want to do at some point for the interactable tooltip is probably show things that are in storage. So if you moused over this, you would see what's in its immediate storage. It won't like show you the whole tree, but basically that if I moused over this, I'd be able to see on this tooltip where it's like slot one, it might have like the picture of it and say like this thing is loaded in here and there's like some number of them or something. Just that way you don't have to like, because you can look at this and forget what's inside of its storage. So if I click this and go to storage here, so we see this night here. Yep. Should I unload it?
I want it to be destroyed.
Oh, you want it to be destroyed?
Let's
Let me just.
sacrifice
Well, let's.
everything.
I want to unload it first to show that it is the same one. So I unload it and then I click it and go to storage, and there's its whole nesting doll structure.
Yeah.
But we'll reload this up, and then we'll move ourselves
In the way of danger.
in the way of
Also, yes, Alec, want to become famous? Mod Cantata.
danger.
Yes.
Easy.
Yes.
Yeah, we're looking for, if you want to like, if you really want to get your hands on this stuff for real, reach out to us on the forums or somewhere else. We've got a few people who are working on some modding things sort of in the background, but yeah, we're always happy to get people sort of, we want some feedback on these tools too, sort of sooner than later. But you know, or you can just wait. So, all right, so I'm gonna end my turn. And I think this white knight is going to be destroyed along with all of his friends.
R.I.P. Preemptive.
Oh, there's no attack animation for the horse, so it's just disappearing.
Oh no. Oh, and we lost all of our vision. Oh my goodness. What a disaster.
The worst.
Very
the worst
costly
thing has happened.
death.
The necromancer horse lives to see another day.
Yep.
I think that sort of wraps up the
That was
scope
a
of this
dramatic
stream.
ending.
Yeah, everything dies in storage.
Everything dies in storage.
Yeah,
I'm just
thanks
imagining
for
the video.
yeah. That
artist.
was. Oh, I guess we'll wait if anyone has any other questions.
Yeah,
in the
please
chats.
ask.
Well, we can answer some questions for a little bit. We're streaming live to YouTube and Steam as well. So if you're in the Steam chat or you're in the Twitch chat, we'll just take a few minutes to answer any like outstanding questions stuff, and then we'll wrap the stream up.
I do think maybe 2 out of the 2 viewers of this Steam is maybe us.
I see 4.
You see 4?
I see 4 viewers on Steam. So hello, Steam viewers. I mean, it might
Hello,
just be
Steam
us.
viewers.
Duplicated.
Duplicated.
Let's see. I see 4. Hello, Steam viewers.
Yeah.
YouTube, I can't see. I don't know how many people watch on YouTube.
I'm seeing 3.
Okay. I don't know if I'm even looking at. Yeah, I don't know what counts the looks or who's hanging out.
Yeah.
Well, I guess while people are maybe typing questions, we can talk about the next stream, or what we're planning on doing.
Yeah, let's do a little plug.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about it?
What do we do?
What We're talking about projects.
Yes,
So we'll
projects.
talk
I'm so
about,
excited.
so aspects are things that give interactables functionality. Projects actually give interactables stuff to build and do. So we'll just quickly peek in here. So that's supply lines, that's building interactables, that's building objectives, that's building global supply. It's all like the main like chunky stuff of Cantata. So I don't think anything right now has got a build menu, but this is basically building stuff. So how to build stuff in the game comes from projects, whereas aspects just give things sort of like functionality on the map. Projects can build other interactables that can do other things. So like in Cantata, the game, you've got buildings or like buildings, so to speak, have the ability to build interactables. So you build buildings first, and then those can build the interactables that can move on the map. You could make it where a unit can build a building or something, or like whatever else you want to do. You could make it where you can actually build a unit as infrastructure that costs global supply, and then blah blah blah. So it's very open to you. I also think next stream we'll have the new scenario editor. Hopefully it'll be up and running, which will be sort of cool to see. It does a lot of the same things, but it looks much nicer, and it will have many more features. But right now it is currently a work in progress. We also might have the necromancer actually do some necromancing.
Yeah, that could be.
Which could be. Yeah.
I think we should.
Hopefully that'll be a thing. I'm trying to think of anything else that we talk about next stream.
Yeah, and I'm seeing some crickets, hearing some crickets, so
And we'll just wrap it up.
maybe, yeah. I mean, it's been quite the long stream. So happy that so many people have stuck around.
Yeah, thank you all for dropping by.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you again in 2 weeks. So we basically do it every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Well, not every Wednesday, every other Wednesday, 11 a.m. Eastern time, and then we'll upload this video to YouTube next week. And then also, again, go to our forums, hang out if you have questions, talk about Cantata, talk about modding ideas, whatever.
Yep. If you're interested in other stuff, other members of the team are on the forums.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Anything else? If I guess maybe we should just plug the socials real quickly. We've got the game listed on Steam, so you can wishlist that.
Yep.
We have
Steam.
Beautiful.
There we are.
Whoa. Meta, super meta. We've also got a Twitter account. We are active on Twitter at Cantata Game.
The forums are
Yes, the forums.
Forums.cantata-game.com. Also, if you go to the main website, I believe there's a link to the forums here. You can just click that. I also think they're linked on Steam. No. Yeah. So if you go to the website, find the forums there. I feel like we should actually make this. I forgot how maybe not visible these are. Maybe we should put these on Twitter or something. But,
oh yeah, that's a good idea.
Forums are here. We have a Discord as well. The Discord link is on the Steam page here. You can just click this and it will take you to the Discord if you want to join. I know Boster is already hanging out on the stream or on the Discord, so you've already done your duty there. But yeah, tell your friends too. We're like a small team. It's not we're not a giant Paradox-sized strategy studio. So helping people find independent strategy games is very important. So definitely, if you're around, come say hello. We're also around.
Discord represent.
Yeah,
Bossaru, thank you so much. We're so excited for the next one as well. It's just getting more and more fun. And thank you, Tantan.
Oh, thanks, Tan. Is it Tan or Tan squared? I was always saying Tan squared, but
I know. I was
Tan.
saying Tan squared, but I do know Tantan IRL.
Oh.
Tan squared, which is also, I realized that tan is tangent, like a trigonometry. Interesting.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining. We'll wrap the stream
Yes.
up and we'll talk to you all again in 2 weeks. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Bye.